Matthew chapter 16. From that time on, Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things at the hands of the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed, and on the third day be raised to life. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. "Never, Lord," he said. "This shall never happen to you." Jesus turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns." Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it. What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? For the Son of Man is going to come in his Father's glory with his angels, and then he will reward each person according to what they have done. Truly I tell you, some who are standing here will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom."
Why does Jesus do this? From that time on, Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things at the hands of the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed and on the third day be raised to life. Also, why does Jesus repeat this 3 more times before he dies? To answer this, I want to look at the game of chess. According to studies, chess can make your mind more focused and improve decision making. It is competitive, but so much more. Chess is not a game I have mastered. I would occasionally play my father, but the day that I came close to beating him was the last time he played me. Apparently this is how his father played him, and I've passed this on to the next generation and stopped playing my kids whenever they came close to beating me. Like I said, it is not a game I have mastered. This does not stop me marveling at those who have. There is a myth that chess grandmasters can see 20 moves ahead. Most cannot do this. In the first 4 moves of a chess game, there are 318 billion moves you could play. This is too much for a human mind to deal with. So, chess grandmasters use different techniques to be able to look ahead. One of the most curious is called retrograde analysis. In order to go forward, it pays to look backward. Retrograde analysis is a reversal of the way we see things so we can move forward. Why is this so useful? Chess is a complicated game. There are 32 pieces, 64 squares, and all the pieces move in different ways. That is not all. The game is always changing. Things look neat at the beginning, but as time goes on, the game evolves. In no time, the board looks to be a mess of pieces with no rhyme or reason or even a strategy happening. However, the number of pieces reduces. The chessboard gets clearer, and the better the players, the simpler the game looks over time. Finally, you get to that point in most grandmaster games. There's no early checkmate in these games. What you get is called the end game. Grandmasters start with the end game and reverse things to see how to get there. Retrograde thinking. Why is this such an effective method? Well, there is something about the human mind. The problem with the human mind is that we are very logical creatures. I want you to play along with me to get my meaning. Take a look at this sentence. Now, most of you would have read the sentence the second time around and realised that you missed the word the first time around. Your mind is very logical and it proceeds forward and ignores anything that breaks with this logical stream. So you do not see the second the first time around. The way to avoid this is to read the sentence in reverse. You get to brain, and then you read and then you clearly see the mistake. Sometimes to go forward, you need to reverse things. This is what chess grandmasters do. They start at the end game and look in reverse from that point so they can move forward to get to that point. They see things more clearly because they know it is about the end game. It is an idea that involves reversals. To go forward, we reverse how we see it to go there. This is exactly what Jesus is doing in Matthew 16. Jesus uses retrograde thinking. Jesus uses a reversal of things to go forward. Look at all the reversals. Jesus says, I will build my church. Reversed, then he ordered his disciples not to tell anyone that he was the Messiah, God's anointed king. Messiah, God's ruler, reversed again. Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things, and that he must be killed and on the third day be raised to life. Jesus says, Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven. Reversed. Jesus said to Peter, Get behind me, Satan. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns. Jesus says, You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church. Reversed. You are a stumbling block to me. Jesus says, Whoever wants to be my disciple, reversed, must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. Jesus says, For whoever wants to save their life, reversed, will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me, reversed, will find it. Jesus said, What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world, reversed, yet forfeit their soul? Just when the disciples think they have a handle on the situation, everything gets reversed. Jesus explains that the world's way of doing things has driven the kingdom of God into endgame, so that moving forward means thinking in a reversal of how we look at it. To move forward requires that every instinct must reverse as we do the reverse of what logic demands. Perhaps nowhere does this reversal come through so clearly as in Jesus' words to Peter. First, he speaks to Peter with the same words he used for the devil in Matthew 4:10, "Get behind me, Satan." Now, for good measure, Jesus says to Peter, "You are a stumbling block to me." Debate about whether Peter here means bedrock or building blocks suddenly seem beside the point. Peter has become a theological banana peel in Jesus' mission. The single message is clear. Jesus will allow nothing and no one to come between him and his cross. Jesus has in mind his end game. He's using retrograde thinking to get himself there. If all of this was not sufficiently bewildering, Jesus worsens the reversal by telling his followers that he has the same end mind for them. His end game is our end game. The cross is the point we are heading to. This is a reversal of what they thought it meant to be the people of God. So Jesus tells us to take everything we think we know and reverse it. Start at the cross and work backwards on your own life first before moving forward. Just like reading a sentence backwards to check it for errors, just like a game of chess with the end game in mind. Christian thinking about Jesus is retrograde thinking. Not just everything we think we know about Jesus either, but about ourselves as well. 2,000 years has softened us to the idea that Jesus' death could give us a shot at heaven, but has made little impact in our deep-rooted beliefs about how to succeed in life. Bearing our cross still bewilders the church in a society built on self-promotion as the accepted path to success. We have the same problem that the disciples had. We miss the last line in Jesus' itinerary, the greatest reversal of all. He must be killed and on the third day be raised to life. Resurrection is the ultimate reversal and our ultimate retrograde thinking. That is where we want to be, resurrected with Jesus. To get there, looking backwards, we will die. To begin our retrograde thinking is to think about our own endgame, our own death, as a starting point. I want to pause here. This all sounds very serious, and it is. It really is. Reading a sentence backwards is easy. Reading your life backwards from death is not. Life has many pieces, a lot of squares, and all the pieces move in different ways. That is not all. The game of life is always changing. Things look neat at the beginning, but as time goes on, our life evolves. In no time, our life looks to be a mess of pieces all intermixed with one another. We have to think like a grandmaster does about the game of chess. This is how Jesus thinks. Jesus' retrograde thinking started here. Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things at the hands of the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed and on the third day be raised to life. Not only did Jesus insist that he was going to suffer and die and rise again, but he also insisted that each of his followers must deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me. To a first century person, this would be an offensive thing to say. To take up your cross did not mean putting up with a stubbed toe, job loss, or personal disability. Crucifixion was universally viewed as the most barbaric of Roman executions. You did not talk about it during dinner. The condemned criminal picked up their cross and carried it to the place of execution. It was your fate to pick up your cross. There was no hope for you. There was only a humiliating and excruciating death. You were powerless. What Jesus' disciples must learn is that to be his follower means a testing of Jesus with your own life. This is the ultimate test of Jesus. The test that has you relinquish control, a painful rejection of self-interested human concerns which align with God's bitterest enemy, Satan, and wholeheartedly turn to Jesus. This is a test that will reveal if you have in mind the concerns of God. Jesus' blunt language is not an invitation to hurt ourselves by carrying our cross, but to trust in his thinking. For in Jesus' thinking, he says, whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it. So ask yourself this question, for Jesus asks it of you. What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? If your answer is, it is good for me to gain in this world, then you do not understand the gospel. You do not understand Jesus' thinking for himself or for you. You have missed the point of the end game Jesus was working towards. You are not yet following Jesus because you have not understood the future that awaits everyone. Jesus says, "For the Son of Man is going to come in his Father's glory with his angels, and then he will reward each person according to what they have done." Jesus wants us to understand this now as we look forward in our own life, as we look forward to our own death. He wants us in our thinking to understand now what it means to live for the end game. He says, "Truly I tell you, some who are standing here will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." This is retrograde thinking. In your life, do you see the end game of Jesus as your end game, as the same thing? If you do, then you have seen the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Then you are really a grandmaster in the game of life, for you have already won, for you know how it ends.